welcome to I Want to Like This, episode 2. Thanks for joining, and hopefully thanks for listening to episode 1. Here on episode 2, we're covering Godzilla, the 2014 United States make. No, we're not covering the awful 1998 Matthew Broderick film. We're covering the 2014 one, which now has Marvel's Quicksilver in it. And Kick-Ass. And that Olsen sister you didn't know was an Olsen sister. Okay. But today's guests are Nick Izumi and Professor Pher, the host and co-host of Otaku Tonight with Professor Pher. I'll let you figure out which order they go in. But also, they're of Nerd and Tie podcast fame, and they're just good friends of mine from going to multiple anime cons and doing stand-up with them. They're two funny guys, they're very well opinionated, and I think they're decently articulated. And this was a fun episode that we did at DaishoCon last year, and I'm finally getting to release it, which I think is fine. Last year Godzilla was a summer blockbuster, and we're heading into summer blockbuster season. So please enjoy this, and as always, please go to the Facebook page for I Want to Like This and like, and if you don't mind, subscribing here on YouTube to I Want to Like This. You have a great day. Enjoy the podcast.
Right on Ansky, wasn't it? Yeah. We got... That was someone I met entirely because I did a Gundam panel one time.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really sweet. I like that. I like the nerd love thing.
So if you guys want to close the door, we're going to do this podcast.
Is it alright if I listen to this?
Yeah, feel free.
Because you genuinely share something in common. That's good for a relationship.
I give her credit because she was more technically the person who made the first move out of the fact that she was sly. When I did the panel, she's like, "Why are you wearing a Code Geass costume?" I'm like, "Because it's a Sunrise robot anime." And she's like, "Bullcrap! I'll make you a Gundam costume."
She just hit to the heart of it, didn't she?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh wow! How long have you guys been together?
For as long as I've known them, basically.
Yeah, that's been like, is it 5?
5-ish years.
5-ish
So
years.
just about the entire time I've known you too.
More or less.
Yeah, that's weird to think about. That's cool
It's
though.
a big chunk of my life when I think about that.
Yeah,
Alright,
how old are you?
25.
You're 25. Yeah, that's a fifth of your life.
Yeah, that's weird.
Oh God, that's
weird.
That's nearly just a sixth of my life. That's how old I am now. I feel it every day. I'm like, oh God, I'm going to turn 30. And I know 30 is not a big deal because like 30 is the new 20 nowadays because of life expectancy.
Yeah.
But I'll be the first person on my father's side to make it to 30 in like generations because they're all dead. So the fact that I went to 2 wars and I'm not dead, I'm like,
You're immortal.
That's
kind of
I
miraculous.
tried. I tried. And like Zach said it to me when we went to dinner. He's like, no, he's like, when do I not do anything without a plan? I'm like, you fucking being friends with me. He's like, I had a plan. Stay close to you, and I'll live through all the wars because you don't die. And I'm like,
you know, believe it or
To bring this conversation.
I know.
To bring things full circle.
Great stuff tonight. You guys did fantastic tonight.
No, we nailed it.
Yeah,
the
close of Otaku Tonight was really cool. I really liked Whose Line Is It Anime tonight, and we already started. Like they didn't know the stuff about his engagement's totally going on this.
The podcast.
Like, congrats.
Oh, we're listening to this right now. That's happening.
Yeah, we're actually recording
right
now because I didn't want one of those fake ones. So I am.
Alright, that's groovy.
Once again, it's me, Thomas Sinclair. I am with Nick Izumi.
Hello, everyone.
And of course, Professor Pher.
Hey, what up?
Chris Stutz himself. We are going to talk today. You guys chose Godzilla 2004, the latest Godzilla film. You want to take that apart?
Yeah, I mean, I
legendary
think so.
Godzilla.
Yeah, I mean, not really so
literally much. Legendary.
Literally
pictures.
legendary. That is
but
the
thing is,
studio.
I think saying take it apart might be a bit of an overstatement because I think Nick and I we did a whole special podcast on that on Nerd and Tie. About just that movie. We spent an hour talking about it.
And I definitely got too livid during that discussion.
Well, okay.
And we genuinely like the movie. Like, it's a phenomenal movie. Like, it's
I really love it.
It's the best Godzilla movie to come out in
it's the best
years.
one in 10 years.
I think it's the best one since... honest to God, if you think about it as a film and thematically as a film, I think it's the best Godzilla since Gojira.
I'm not sure I'd go that far, but
Godzilla versus Mothra was pretty good.
Yeah, it is, but like that's when we get into just crazy kaiju battle and not so much a story. I think they actually tried to tell a story with this one.
And I like the story of nature correcting itself.
Well, and that's what Godzilla's always been about, is that it's sort of been that whole are we allowed to curse on your podcast?
Yeah, we can say whatever the fuck we want.
Don't fuck it up, humans. I mean, because and I love that in the opening right away. It opens up right away with the whole callbacks to the original movie.
No, I absolutely love the redacted credits and the military testing.
And there's so much reference to the old movies too. I mean, like they talk about the testing that was done in the 50s and whatnot that caused this monster to happen.
Or the fact that the testing in the 40s, the 30s and the 40s was actually to destroy Godzilla in an attempt because he came back because of nuclear. So this is really good because we're already talking about stuff. Like the first part of this is to talk about what you actually liked about that movie. You really liked the opening credits. I thought they were brilliant. I love the way they used the footage. I love the way they made it fit the footage of the actual test footage of the nuclear. Because they didn't do new digital footage.
No, it was all old stuff.
It was old test footage that they used. I personally love that part. I mean,
another one that I want to throw out there is that I loved seeing. I mean, like it's very superficial, but I loved seeing Godzilla again and the way I remember him. This is a Godzilla that is very true to the original monster, the amazing monster that they designed back in 54, but they made him a bit more organic, believable. I love that he has gills. Every part of that monster design was well thought out. It is a truly awe-inspiring creature. Even on the small screen, Godzilla himself is a force to be reckoned with. Yeah,
well, and that's what I noticed too, is like the scale of it. Like the scene in that movie that really stands out in my mind is when they're doing the Halo drop into the city where they're going to set up the bomb and whatnot to take out everything, and they're coming down from the plane and they hit past the clouds. And boom, Godzilla. Like, just that scale.
You don't really get that feeling of how big he is until you see people next to the spikes on his back.
Yeah, no, like, it's incredible.
Passing right by the tail.
And that's why, like, I think the movie, like, pretty much gets a pass, is that it's a genuinely good Godzilla movie, but there's still just, like, a couple of things that aren't, you know, I mean, that's what this podcast is. Like,
there's one other thing that I want to talk about that I know a lot of people talk about it, but I do want to bring him up. Bryan Cranston's performance was beautiful.
The best actors in that movie were so underused. Is what like
that gets into the negatives. But
okay, before we go on the negatives, Bryan Cranston is phenomenal in everything he does. He's kind of a show stealer. He could chew up scenery and I'd still want to watch it.
Well, there's that Family Guy joke about him was the funniest joke Family Guy's ever done, where he sneezes and then they hand him an Emmy. I mean that.
Yeah, he's fantastic, and like everyone now realizes it. Like in Malcolm Middle, it's hard work to do comedy. You guys just did Whose Line Is It Animated Night. You guys did your show Otaku Tonight, which you guys anyone who listens to this can find on Facebook and totally find Otaku Tonight.
Yeah.
Brandon, Giant Size Brandon put it over because I love your guys' show. I've been friends with you for a long time. I've been on the show. You guys know what it's like to do comedy, and Bryan Cranston can do comedy. So to see him pull out the drama like he did, I kind of knew he was going to have that range.
That is one of the most heart-rending scenes when he is screaming at the technicians at the nuclear plant.
Oh, to save his wife.
Both saving his wife is heartbreaking, but even later when Monarch takes them captive and he's yelling at them that they're keeping something secret.
Oh, through the glass.
Yeah, that scene hit me hard.
Yeah. You can definitely tell this is a man who's lost everything because of what happened there. Like this, he can't let go of it. It's his parents dying in a fucking alley.
Yeah, and I love. I mean, it's a shame that he was in it for such a short amount of time. I mean, I would love to have seen more Bryan Cranston because the whole marketing around this movie was pretty much about the fact that, hey, we got Bryan Cranston. He's
and a giant fucking lizard.
In the first fucking third of the movie, and that's all that we see Bryan Cranston in. Like,
the marketing is also kind of brilliant, though. I kind of enjoy Bait and Switch, the old Alfred Hitchcock Bait and Switch. You're going to, we're marketing one movie and we get another movie. Like, it made it look like, oh, this is going to be a scary, super serious, disaster movie. And no, it's much more akin to the 1970s Godzilla fights some other monster movie, which was very cool.
I also I love the Hitchcock reference because it's my
you gotta love Hitchcock and his setting up something that's completely not there.
And you're never gonna have another as big of a stand up and cheer moment. I think in 2014. I think looking back, like when we do the best of the year in 2014, the best movie moment I think in 2014 is where Godzilla is killing the second Muto by ripping its mouth open and firing the atomic breath down and then spiking its head like a football. Like,
how great was that fight? Like, okay, so a lot of people's main thing they hated about it was how little Godzilla there is. I don't know if you're going to bring that up. I loved that part because it felt to me like akin to Jaws and like the original Godzilla. You don't see Godzilla till the finish.
I have weird feelings on that because I think the problem is people are, when they complain about that, I think they're complaining about the wrong part of that. My problem isn't that Godzilla isn't on screen enough in and of itself. I don't think that's the problem. My problem was that I felt that when he wasn't on screen, especially after Bryan Cranston dies, things aren't very interesting. The characters aren't very interesting.
Yeah, that's what the thing is. Too.
You don't really feel Godzilla's. I didn't feel Godzilla's presence much, and even the Mutos. In one way, I really like that the Mutos resemble the Cloverfield monster, and there's that symbolic "move over, Cloverfield, the real king is back." Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, when I look back at them, they are incredibly boring. I cannot get behind the Mutos. I really liked them the first time I saw it, and then second viewing, I'm like, oh.
I don't have anything against the Mutos per se, and I don't really. Can we say that I don't think it's the actors that really had a problem?
No, it's not.
Aaron Tyler Johnson is not very interesting. Let's get that right.
Okay.
Well, no. Aaron Tyler Johnson removed all that was interesting from him by cutting his hair, stopped being that kid you could identify with, and being he added 40 pounds of muscle on him. He just looks like a generic action
military
man.
meathead.
Well,
not that that's a bad thing, but I mean, he's cast as your everyday this is your everyday soldier.
Yeah, he's just a jarhead in it.
Yeah,
he's just a
that's the other thing
bomb disposal.
What you get is that the first third of my biggest problem with Aaron Tyler Jackson's character is that the first third of the movie introduces his only character arc and resolves it within that first third. It's my family suffered a great loss. I have a disconnect with my father. I get to bond with my father over something. Then the father dies. There is no more arc for him. All you get is the most generic, I have to get home to my family. While the other more interesting characters are pushed to the background while he's doing Jarhead in the foreground.
Ken Watanabe.
Yeah.
Again, the best actors in this movie are so underused.
Here's my problem with this. They went for some reason they decided they were going to tell the story from a soul. It felt like, okay, so we know my background. I don't know if the listeners, if anyone listens to this, knows that I'm a veteran. I went to Iraq and I went to Afghanistan, and it felt like pandering, like such American bravado pandering. Our action hero is going to be a war hero, and he's going to know about bombs. I remember the original Gojira movie, when they put a white guy in it to make it connect with American audiences, he was a reporter.
Yep.
And he was telling the story as it was happening. And I think that's what,
It actually makes King of the Monsters almost a nice companion film to, it's not really a replacement to Gojira.
Yeah.
It's a really cool companion film where you have another character's perspective on the same events of that amazing film.
Well, and the other thing, too, I mean, you mentioned the military thing, and just, I don't know what it is, but, what is with Hollywood's military misunderstanding, but, the military is always the dumbest animal in any movie they're just about in. Because, I mean, I looked at the thing that took me out of it was so we're just gonna, let's send all this shit on a train. Let's, there's a giant monster running around the countryside, ripping everything up. Let's just, put it on train tracks where it can't go anywhere. And that's gonna work out well for it.
Well, the whole concept, okay, that's kind of to lure them. But the whole concept of, didn't work then. This will make that little explosion look like a pinprick.
Yeah.
But we're still going to use radiation to kill animals that feed off of it.
Yeah, we're going to use a bigger. Well, even on the flip side of that, back when Godzilla 1998 came out, and that's the least we're not going to get into Zilla too much.
Okay, we're not going to get into the terrible thing.
When it came out, one of the Toho producers, I don't remember who it was, made a comment to the effect of, the thing about Americans is that they are afraid, and I don't want to make this sound, I'm probably paraphrasing this wrong, but American culture seems afraid of having a film where their military could fail. I mean, it's not as bad as 1998 Godzilla, where helicopters are a legitimate threat to this monster, where you look at the military's not a threat at all to 54 Gojira.
No.
But, the film is actually setting up excuses for why the army can't fight at its full strength. It's like, oh, the Mudos burp EMPs, so now we have a convenient excuse of why we don't have to show our military being completely decimated by the monsters because
we can't get there.
We've sidestepped that.
Yep.
Yeah, back in the day, it didn't used to be like King Kong swatting fucking planes out of the air.
Yep.
And like Godzilla destroyed, like the Japanese army, like the whole point of that Godzilla destroying the Japanese army is Gojira in the original is a representation of American imperialism destroying Japan. So their military just gets squashed by this atomic monster, which is of course the nuclear bomb. And I think that kind of threat, like that understanding that we can't beat him as a military power.
Mm. And I think too, I mean, the comparisons of that is we don't really have anything like that in terms of a threat to really America today. I mean, like there's always going to be that threat of like, oh, they always say, oh, there's always going to be somebody trying to build a bomb, but I mean, it's
not relevant.
It's not relevant. Like we're not in that Cold War situation of duck and cover, everybody run these drills, get ready. Russia could go off on us at any point.
Yeah,
we don't really have that worry about getting nuked by by a superpower like Russia anymore.
Yeah.
So I think it was like a really cool way like for them to try and tie it into like, oh well, now we have to we have a lot of nuclear shit that we still got to deal with, but it's not as heavy as like a looming threat of nuclear destruction was 30 years ago.
Yeah. I can totally see that, and like that's again they play into the military thing, and I thought it was pandering. I would totally have loved his character.
Aaron Tyler
Jackson's character to be an investigative journalist. I can't feel sympathy with him because the first thing we learn about him in this movie is he abandoned his father.
Yeah.
That's the first thing we learn about this kid is his dad loses everything. His dad loses his wife, loses his career, loses everything. And the first thing this kid does once he's an adult is abandon his father. Like, I get it. He's a family man. I do want to give credit. The Olsen sister, the youngest Olsen sister, she showed chops. Like, she is a solid performance with very little to work with, other than I'm a mom who's a nurse.
The women characters in this movie are awful.
They are.
Like, they're just bad. Because all you have is the nurse who doesn't really get to do much, and Ken Watanabe's assistant, who is there to explain things Ken Watanabe doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, that's...
She's exposition for Ken Watanabe, who's just very enigmatic. But I'm cool with him being enigmatic. He's fantastic at it.
The let them fight thing is just like, when that showed up in the first trailer, I'm just like, oh, fuck yeah.
Although that again leads to the more interesting characters. That's the thing about Watanabe I was so interested in, and I think would have made the whole not using Godzilla much could have been done stronger with more focus on Ken Watanabe's Serizawa character, because they never explain why Serizawa has this, like, okay, he has the watch, he has the Hiroshima watch, I get that, but they never explain why he seems to know and understand where Godzilla is coming from. I would have liked more of a focus on not a cheesy relationship, but somehow through his studies of the monster, he gains this true understanding and respect for it, and see more of that, and through him we could gain more respect for the hero of the movie.
I could totally see that. I just think it's so quick and so forced that we get to the first sight back with Bryan Cranston, because it's I just got home, boom, I'm in Japan, boom, I'm in this, we broke into this zone. If this kid if they had done the reporter thing, right, and he can't stay with his dad, but he still believes in his dad's cause, and he was trying to find a way to figure out what's going on. Like, he's now pulling investigative traits to do this, and he and his dad as part of a story, and to finally find out what happened to his mother get there, and now he's the one on the ground with the military the whole time watching this happen. Because you can have the faceless soldiers dying. You can, no offense to everybody in the military. God knows I love you all. Well, some of you are dicks, but I still love you. But, you can still have the military mission, and you can still have the reporter and the scientist. And he's arguing for what the scientist is, because he realizes that this scientist is onto it. He could have been championing Watanabe the whole time against the military, because the military has to try and use might. They have to. You can't make peace with a fucking, 50-story monster.
Right.
So, of course they're going to try and use might.
But it has a similar thing to Man of Steel there, though, where the military is never questioned.
Yeah.
Like that's one of those themes in that movie. It's the same in this movie. If the military makes a decision, there is no one questions it. As soon as they could show up at Monarch, Watanabe doesn't even put up a fight. I mean, he has some somewhat terse words with the commander, but beyond that, it's just, nope, we're in charge now. He's just along for the ride.
So, the main things we have a problem with is the military involvement, how the American military is portrayed, because we can't portray it as anything less than what we try to idolize it as.
Right.
In this post 9/11 world. So we have that problem. We suffer from that. We suffer from just
generally underused good acting.
I would say generally underwritten parts.
Yeah, underwritten parts
for people who probably could have handled it. I don't think
Watanabe could handle that in his sleep.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
But also for the people like just wrongly written parts, I just think the ideas of the characters is a problem for you guys.
What you were saying, though, like even about the reporter thing, I like that even just out of the fact that it's even a kind of an homage to the classic films, because reporters are main characters in a lot of those movies.
Well, one of the best superheroes in one of those classic films is a goddamn reporter.
Both of the 60s Mothra movies had,
reporters getting in the shit because they're investigative journalists.
Mm-hmm.
So we have reporters. Is there anything with I mean, there's a couple continuity errors in the big fight. There's certain buildings that are standing after they get knocked down, but that can happen. That's just oversight.
That doesn't bother me.
No, because then I just get to watch them get destroyed again. I don't fucking care. Is there anything like you don't have a problem with Godzilla not being in the film as much as he was?
I don't. Yeah, it's not that I have a problem with Godzilla not getting a lot of screen time. It's just that I feel like they could have done better to use the characters around to flesh out who and what Godzilla is. Because there were times where he felt like a fifth wheel. Like, there wasn't enough, I felt like there wasn't enough focus on what his deal is, because we're so busy showing what the Mutos are up to, and showing Aaron Taylor Jackson being boring. Like, just anything that would have just been like some insight. More of Ken Watanabe. Honestly, Ken Watanabe's character and whatever that relationship is with that lizard, I think would have made something more. That's my big change. That's the thing I keep sticking to.
I also didn't really have a huge problem with how little Godzilla was in it, because I feel like any more, we would have been really desensitized to it. Honestly, like
less is more in this case.
Less is more. Like okay, whatever. We got to cut to this guy getting home. But holy shit. Now let's have a 10-minute fight, scene with Godzilla, and then let's recover from the action and take a breath.
I was infuriated though by Godzilla's first appearance or his first battle with the Mutos. I hated that cutaway. I thought the cutaway was
a little hacky.
I thought it was a hacky. I thought it was a cheap move, it was
a tease. It was a tease because it's just like, oh, here we go, and never mind.
You see, what bothered me about it was I understand where the director's coming from, Gareth Edwards. He's an independent film guy. He's not used to having billions of dollars to make a movie, and it felt like something that you would do in an independent film is you can't afford to use that many monster effects. We got to cut away. But at the same time, it's like that was such a major tease. I hated how that was handled.
I'm going to say this. I like the tease because to me it's reminiscent of Jaws. It's reminiscent of that scene at the beach where the mayor's trying to keep people in the ocean, and our hero sees the shark, just the fin. You get that tease. You know this attack is happening, and you're waiting for it, and you still don't see the attack itself.
And maybe that would have worked better had the things that they cut back to been more interesting. That goes all right back to they spend so much time on things that were boring when I know there's monsters somewhere.
So, but Godzilla's moments are fucking worth the wait.
Oh, no, they're worth the wait.
No, like I said, the best, I literally stood up and cheered in my seat when he killed the second Muto and, fucking spiked its head on the ground.
I had fucking tears in my eyes when he gets up.
Yeah.
That was bad, because, as I'm in the theater, I'm like, no, I waited 10 years for Godzilla to come back. You can't kill him now. You cannot kill him now. And then, yeah.
And the scroll across the bottom, hero with a question mark, savior of the city.
That was great.
Minus all the massive destruction and other stuff, but
there's one thing about the theme though that still bothers me that I do want to talk about. I'm really bothered by one part of the end of the movie, and it's the use of the nuclear bomb in in
the score.
When they send it out to the ocean.
Oh,
there's no ramifications for that. I think it is awful, especially with the background of the Godzilla character and with the original Gojira being so much a warning about the dangers of nuclear weapons and that. I think it's incredibly irresponsible to use a nuclear weapon that way and pull a Dark Knight where there's a nuclear explosion and there's no
I was just going there.
Hey kids, it's snowing.
Sorry, there's no ramifications for that whatsoever. I thought that was really irresponsible and kind of awful.
As do I. I don't. That weapon should not have gone off.
The second movie in like 2 or 3 years where a nuke has exploded for like 5 miles within a major city, and we're just like, oh, whatever.
Just simply had Godzilla swallow it?
That would have been awesome. And reminiscent of like 90s Godzilla actually ate nuclear reactors. How great would that be? Of just like picks up the boat, chomp.
Well, what happened? Like, how great would it have been if when the two Muto are together, they do beat him up, and that swallowing it is what leads to the atomic blast, right?
Yes.
Out of his mouth. Like, he starts spitting fire because he just swallowed that and just the entire fuel of that explosion just blasted down the gullet of the Muto.
And that would be, and it's just cheesy enough that it's true to the original Godzilla, but I mean, like, with the science they already have in the movie, it makes enough sense that it's consistent.
Because he can obviously...
You're like, oh, why not?
Because his outsides can obviously take a nuclear blast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've gone through what we hated. We've gone through what we liked. I want to know, you two together as a team. I love what you guys do as a team with Otaku Tonight. You guys are a good writing team. Tell me your Godzilla story. You can keep the cast you want. You can change the parts you want. Tell me what you guys would do if you had the chance to write and direct Godzilla.
Well, I'd put Ray Liotta in it.
Wait, Nick, are you okay with Ray? What's Ray Liotta doing?
I don't know what Ray Liotta's doing
just
at
in
all.
it. He's just in it. He's doing something, but Ray Liotta's in it. That's what I want.
I really liked. Initially, what I was going to say would be make Watanabe's character more of the central focus.
Yeah,
and make his relationship and his understanding of the monster more central to the plot. But I also really want to build off of TS's idea of having the reporter, the investigative reporter, there with him, and them kind of against a military who are really just doing their jobs. But
the reporter
is played by Ray Liotta.
The reporter could. If you put the years back a couple more...
No. It's just Ray Liotta.
Well, but I was thinking, if the reporter is Bryan Cranston's kid still, put the reporter back a couple years, put Bryan Cranston a little bit more age makeup. You could still make this, that the reporter is trying to get... Like, the reporter is the link between Bryan Cranston as this engineer to our Ken Watanabe, who understands Gojira.
Mm. To be serious, though, one thing I would change is I really, like... This is really awful for me to say in a way because it's like, oh, how, like, tragedy for movie characters. I mean, but, like, Johnson didn't lose any. Like, Aaron Tyler Johnson's character didn't lose anything.
He lost his dad.
Oh, he lost his dad, but I mean, like...
Who he had been away from for how many years?
So, but, like...
he lost his only character arc at that point.
Yeah, but, like...
He did lose his mom. He did lose his mom.
He lost his mom, but, like... But, like... He everything was peachy keen at the end of it. He's like, oh, I made it home. Oh, my wife and kid are still alive. Oh, we're all good. We're all happy. We're going to rebuild and we're going to be fine.
Yeah, I would make, if they want to make the destruction caused by the monsters mean something, it can't be as sanitized as what they did.
Yeah.
It can't, like...
you need to see people actually getting...
Okay, so, from the go, let's do this point by point.
Yep.
Let's really do this. We still start the movie off with how the opening credits work?
Yep, absolutely.
That still works. Perfect. We can still go with that storyline.
The first third of the movie is fucking great.
Okay,
the first third of the movie is incredible.
Right before Brian... Okay, right before we see
Ford?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we see Ford as a Marine, all that can stay. What do we change from now it's present day, that fucking Muda egg is ready to hatch? How do we go from there to still a convincing fight? Because I think the fight, we all agree that the fight's a really good
I would say that the whole second third of the movie is like where it just gets a little bit...
Yeah.
The second act is just
but
shit.
It's the second act that just doesn't work.
Okay. So tell me how you fix the second act. You can rewrite characters, do whatever you want. What would you do?
I say that that maybe you see the military take a few losses. I mean, we saw the train get destroyed. We saw the Muto basically rip up the train tracks or whatnot. But let's see the military be like, oh no, we're gonna fight this thing full force. Let's see them send out the rocket launchers. Let's see them get.
You're okay with some of the leadership going against Godzilla dying?
Yeah, like let's see some of the let's see them be like, holy shit, we cannot fight this thing by standard means.
So there's real fucking danger.
There's
real
actual
stakes.
danger. There's real stakes. Like we're seeing soldiers get blown away from by the Muto off the side of the mountain.
These civilians get blown up. Because the part of the
there is very few civilian casualties seen on screen.
One of the most powerful scenes in the 54.
We see the flood, but that's it.
In the 54 movie, there's really powerful, upsetting scenes of the makeshift hospital and all these poor people who are completely innocent be like dying and hurting, and the scene of the children's choir singing for them. That haunts me to this day.
Or here's another thing you can work with. These guys keep fucking up with reactors. We never see the damage that their nuclear waste leaves behind them.
Yeah.
Like, we see press coverage in it, and we see destruction. We never see fallout.
It's very sanitized.
These two are walking nuclear bombs, really. They're just walking fallout, and we don't see any of it.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. So, we're going with that. How do we change character arcs? Because we still need the human element. There's still going to be a narrative because we need someone telling the story that builds up Godzilla. We have Ken Watanabe with like somehow spiritual connection to Gojira.
Maybe not overtly spiritual,
well,
but
yeah.
but at least something like from his research, he has a meaningful, spiritual might be the right word. Never mind.
Well, to him it's spiritual. He's not connected to Godzilla.
Right. But yeah, to him it is.
We're not talking to Gamera here. I mean,
this is not.
Thank you.
Those are great movies.
I fucking love them. So, Ken Watanabe, we've got that. You've got a reporter now. We've got more destruction on the military side. How do we pull that up to the climax? We can't have the bomb now because we don't have a bomb technique. I mean, we can have just generic soldiers and airmen doing that.
Yeah, you can have
we can still have that really awesome airdrop scene.
You can still have the really awesome airdrop scene. You can still do the whole thing with Aaron Tyler Johnson's character. I think you can still have the bomb. You can just have some no-name soldier be like, "I'll stay behind and do it."
The place where I want to go is the Ken Watanabe's character, Serizawa, is named after Dr. Serizawa from the original film.
Yes.
Now, Dr. Serizawa, a very complicated character. I could probably write a book about this guy, who also didn't get a lot of screen time in the original Godzilla, but you learn a lot from him. Like, some people today are like, oh, he's wearing an eye patch. It's because he's a mad scientist. It's like, no, it's because he's a World War II veteran.
Yeah.
That's the implication. And in the original film, their Serizawa dies to defeat Gojira.
With the oxygen bomb in the water.
Yeah, with the oxygen destroyer. How meaningful would it be, though, to have a scene of Watanabe, this version of Serizawa, sacrificing himself to save this Godzilla? Like, it would be
to save Godzilla.
To save Godzilla. Maybe even be the person who gets... We talked about the scene of Godzilla maybe eating the nuclear reactor, which gives him the boost that he needs to get to the Mutos. Maybe that's it. He is the scientist who sent out there, pushes forward even after, like, maybe the army guys who were sent with him are killed. He's still pushing there. And, like, you have this one moment, this meaningful moment, where he, the Beast, finally see each other face to face. Muto causes him to die somehow, and, Godzilla understands that this was a gift somehow to him.
Let me throw this out there, because this is your guys' idea as writers. But as a director, check this out. What if he can't push it alone, it's him and the reporter. It's two common men, not military, not soldiers, common men, risking it all, pushing a nuclear device down this city street. And when Serizawa makes this connection with Gojira, our reporter books it. It's still a monster. It's still scary to someone. And our reporter watches from the sidelines as this noble scientist is just gunned down by a monster. Like, I think that builds a really dramatic moment, because then we're still seeing it. We can keep the thematic idea that we're still seeing it from this reporter's view. Because even, like, we think we're Serizawa and him, and it's still about this reporter's watching this happen.
We're sending this to Gareth Edwards, right? They're going to do a recut of Godzilla.
We could totally send this to Gareth Edwards. Okay. This could totally be your pitch 20 years from now when they're like, let's do it again.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because that seems to be Hollywood's aspect. Like, when I do what I want to do, it's totally to be like DC. Give me the universe. Just do it. All of it. I will totally do... I will do for you what they've done, what Disney's done with Marvel. I could do it.
Put Jason Todd back in a coffin for me. That's all I ask.
No, I don't want the. I want the cinematic universe.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's okay.
Or if they want to give me the animated cinematic universe, and I can just do good with there, because they let people do good with this cinematic animated universe.
Yeah, the animated movies are fine.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got a really good thematic moment. We still have the fight. Godzilla eats the nuclear bomb. That
still kicks that Muto's ass and spikes its head on the ground.
We don't have the useless nuclear. Like the one thing that gets me is there's no loss. Like you said, there's no loss. I thought it should have died with that bomb. Like he gets saved, but they can't stop the fucking weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's countless fail-safes on nuclear devices. There has to be, because they're nuclear devices, and we can't like the guys who come in to save it can't stop it.
Yeah, how many people should have gotten horribly irradiated at the very least?
Yeah, a helicopter running away from an atomic blast. It's the power of it's as bright as 10 suns. That's how fast the energy travels.
Not to mention all the sea life and the damage.
Godzilla coming up out of the water caused a fucking tidal wave in Hawaii. What is going to happen to the western seaboard when an atomic bomb goes off?
Yeah, right.
Also, did we not notice that the sea level near San Francisco doesn't have a horrible shift when Godzilla comes?
That is a little.
They didn't follow it up. I love the scene on the bridge. I love the viewpoint from the kids seeing Godzilla.
That scene was perfect.
Because when I saw Godzilla for the first time, I was a kid, and like Godzilla, like I had 3 heroes. It was, I wanted to be I couldn't be Superman? Oh, fine. Can I be Godzilla? No, you can't be a radioactive monster. You can't be Indiana Jones. Well, I guess I'll just, be a pro wrestler and tell stupid jokes for a living. So, no, I totally love this idea. Like, you're right. There isn't enough weight in that movie about loss. There's military lives lost, and I think people tend to trivialize military lives lost because you volunteered for it. And there's something kind of sad about that for my world.
Yeah.
For me, that's kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And but there are losses in war. These generals handled it like war, and there's the stakes keep getting like whitewashed. But we can all agree, Godzilla getting up at the end is one of the most touching moments in movies all of 2014.
Best 2014 movie moment.
That and Dancing Brute.
Yeah, right.
Have you ever cared more about a tree in your life?
No, I can't say I have.
That says something about the world. God, this has been fun. This is exactly what I wanted out of this podcast, guys.
Perfect. We're glad
we were able to come on.
God, Nick Izumi, you are fantastic. Do you have any plugs? Anything you want to say that Pher's not going to say 5 seconds after you?
Check out my blog at nickizumi.com, aka Crapdam Inc. Check out youtube.com/nickizumi. Like the Facebook page. Yeah, follow my Twitter, Nick Izumi. It's all sorts of good stuff.
Is it at Nick Izumi?
It's at Nick Izumi.
How do you spell it?
That is capital Nick, capital Izumi.
Awesome. At Nick Izumi at Twitter. Pher, the illustrious Professor Pher, I am so glad I asked you to do this. I'm so glad you jumped on having Nick, and I'm so glad I just said, go fuck, let's do this.
You sent me this message. I'm like, can I have Nick involved in this? And you're like, please do.
You're like, Nick's going to handle all logistics. I'm just going to make jokes about Ray Liotta.
Nick makes me look good.
That's your whole career.
Right, pretty much.
Okay, Pher, do you have any plugs?
Yeah, check out the Otaku Tonight Facebook page. We don't update it a lot, but we make sure to update all the news and stuff of where we're going to be.
Otaku Tonight is one of my favorite things at every con.
We love doing it.
I've been a guest. I've been a comedian on it. Every con. If you go to an anime con in the Midwest and you see Otaku Tonight or X Geek Presents on a bill somewhere, you go to that panel. Go to that room, see what they do. I may not be a part of it, but they're always there, and these two are always great. What else do you have? You Twitter that you don't update.
I've been trying to get better at Twitter. I'm at Professor Pher, capital PROFESSOR, capital PHER. Follow me on Tumblr. It's Professor Pher.
There's at Otaku Tonight, yes, right?
Yeah,
there isn't at Otaku Tonight Twitter.
There's Otaku Tonight Twitter at all. I don't ever do that.
If you follow at Otaku Tonight, just yell at Otaku Tonight till they get the picture that you would like to know.
I'll get an update sent to my phone. It'll happen. But also, Nick and I also do a Nerd and Tie, which is
their podcast,
a fortnightly podcast. We do it on Sunday nights. We always do live shows at cons as well. But usually
with Trey Dorn.
Trey Dorn Productions.
Yep, a cartoonist of himself, writer.
He's very, very cool.
I would like to have him on the show too. I'd like to have another writer to talk to.
He's a fun guy. But we always do live shows with him as well at cons. But always we're at just about every single Wisconsin con. So feel free to come up, say hi to us, have a drink with us.
We're friendly.
Come laugh with us. We like to have a good time. So.
I love you guys. I am Thomas Sinclair. I can be followed on Twitter at the T Sinclair. My name's pretty common enough you can spell it. You can also follow my wrestling Facebook, which I'm probably going to update to be a more media savvy one. It's currently it's Born to Wrestle Thomas Sinclair. It'll probably be Built to Destroy Thomas Sinclair by the time this goes out, because I destroy on a mic every now and then. I'm not that good. This has been Reimagine That. I am just thank you guys. This is my second podcast.
This is super fun.
This was totally fun. I can't wait. I hope people listen to this because this was fun.
Oh, we'll plug it.
Awesome.
I'll share it for you.
And I can't wait to hear your other podcast that was being described. It sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it's next year. It's gonna be right before. I'm gonna release it right before Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. I'm gonna do
Dawn of Justice.
The name that is not near as long as the cast list from Justice League that's going to be in this film. I'm going to do a podcast, not tackling Man of Steel, because we already did that with your guys' fellow Otaku Tonight cast member, the great fucking plus-size, giant-sized Brandon, who just walked into the room again. But I will be tackling the entire DC Cinematic Universe and what I'd want to do with it.
Great.
I might want people on it. I might want to do it as a panel where you just get to hear me rant and ask questions of what I do. Guys, thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Thanks for having us on.
Everyone else, have a great night and fucking go watch some movies.
So, that was I Want to Like This episode 2, Godzilla. I hope you had as much fun as I obviously did. And I'm sorry for the quality in which the sound is really low. It was only the second podcast I'd ever recorded, and I was new to the recorder and the gain setting for it. So, that's it. Have a great day. Once again, I'm going to ask you to subscribe and like on both Facebook and YouTube alike. You can also find me on Twitter at the T Sinclair. And you can find me on Facebook at the Thomas Sinclair. So, have a good day.